actually move that money over and be able to get the maximum amount of liquidity in the shortest amount of time. But then what ends up happening is because you have to have the rights to be able to move the token, anybody that wants to make a payment, it'll seem like they're making a normal payment. But in reality, what's happening is you're making a payment. Your bank is basically signing the transaction to go from one bank to another bank. And you basically have to have a bunch of banks sign transactions between each other. Now, why is this important? One, you get the auditing of, the IRS is able to audit these in real time. You not only are able to audit it in real time, but it almost makes it impossible to steal money out of people's accounts. Because like I said, you've got to go through the bank to move money from one account to another account. You see what I mean?
But what I don't get is how do they have 3-second transfer times if all these banks need to check the transactions are okay?
So with how the decentralized network works is, and how it gets and it's actually not even checking to see if these transactions are okay. The overall network's checking for these transactions. But the main reason why it gets and this is actually another crazy tech thing that people don't talk about. The main reason why it gets a 3-second transaction time is the algorithm that runs the consensus on the network is running every 5 seconds. So there's constantly a consensus algorithm between all the nodes that are constantly reading against each other every 5 seconds to get consensus. So what ends up happening is within the 5 seconds, as you make a transaction, you're already mid-consensus for every transaction that's being made. So instead of having proof of stake where people would put up a bunch of stake in the hopes that they operate cooperatively on the network, or proof of work where you have the biggest computer solve the riddle first, there's just a native consensus algorithm on all the XRP nodes, and this would be all the banks that operate, and all the nodes instinctively have a native algorithm that are constantly running every 5 seconds to get consensus with each other. And XLM is also the same way too. But this consensus algorithm is the backbone to the performance of why XRP is able to be so fast. And it's actually a little bit different because XDC is also proof of work. But one of the reasons why, and I don't know if you know this too, but XDC has like a 6-second transaction time speed. And the reason why it gets its transaction speed is not because it has a native algorithm, but because it operates off of a notary system. So what ends up happening is you can choose who you want to sign your transactions based off these notaries. And I'll actually get more into this when I get into Corda. But the notaries can not only be other companies, other nodes on the network, but they can also be regulators, basically notarizing regulatory clear actions that are happening on the network. So the main reason why XRP is operating so quickly is because of the native algorithm. Now, the reason why I say the banks have to operate these accounts, to operate any XRP account, anybody can start up an account. But to operate a account where you can issue underlying assets, you have to have control and rights to the underlying accounts. This is why I say this is why the banks would use it. They have one account as the bank, all the underlying accounts being the bank accounts, and then they can issue you your currency, your stock, your bond, whatever to you.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting this level of security, because if I wanted to hack your account and steal money out of your account, I couldn't do it because
you'd have to only send it to your account or someone else's registered account.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing. If let's say we both were operating off Chase Bank and I hacked money out of your account and put it into my account. Well, Chase saw everything that just happened. They saw everything that so there's really no way you can hack money out of people's account when it comes to a system like this, because of how structurally sound the permissions are when setting up accounts that can issue underlying assets. Now, if you just wanted to make an account...
So for example, Coinbase has permission from XRP to issue all these different wallets.
Yes, actually, yes.
And to open a new wallet, they would need to get permission from XRP and do all the right KYC stuff.
There's two things with that. Yes, that's true. But the first thing is they only really need access or rights to your wallet if they're going to issue you tokens under it. If they're just going to issue you any other random wallet, it's no different than you starting up a ledger, putting in a PIN, and putting up your wallet. Now, the reason why they need permissions to issue those underlying assets is because of how that broader gateway banking structure works. It doesn't work without that. And the reason why I say XLM would be like cash is because they don't need that broader structure. If I had $10 over here and I wanted to issue $10 worth of currency on XLM and then send it to you, I don't need a special permissions to do so. But if I want to run a banking organization on XRP, I do. But that's only for underlying assets. If I just wanted to send you XRP, I could go make an XRP account. I'll send it to your address. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Crap. What was I saying?
So that's why you believe XLM will be used more than XRP for central bank digital currencies.
I think it's going to be.
Because it's easier for them
it's
to.
One of the things where, yeah, it's
a lot less hassle.
In a general sense, I don't know who would end up being bigger. It comes down to how you want to look at these markets. Who has a bigger market? I think Stellar is going to be used, like I said, central bank digital currencies is going to be the number one use case for XLM and Stellar. I think XRP is going to be used as a back-end bank settlement token in regards to not only cross-border remittances, but domestic remittances. So when, like I said before at the beginning, where I said,
because everyone's forgetting the domestic remittances market. Everyone's talking about the 50 trillion cross-border. But within each country, there's more trillions, especially like in the US and
it's practically the banking system. It's practically the financial system. And that's the thing. Remember, I was telling you how slow it is, and for every $100 that they that you may have in your bank account, they only have one on demand. Well, this essentially solves that problem, because what ends up happening is instead of having, like you said before, instead of having to worry about being able to. One, if you need to borrow that money, you can get it instantly. You don't have to spend however many days it takes to send the money. But two, when someone asks for their money, you don't have to go, oh, give me a second for me to get this payment that's already on the way to come through. Their payments become instant. So a typical transaction that, let's say you're a bank and you wanted to pass a $50 million transaction, and it took 4 days to do so from all the different things that have to come play to move that money. Well, it would take a couple seconds. If you want to move billions of dollars, it take a couple seconds. So that all that clogged up piping in the financial system, from how slow money's moving around from bank to bank, institution to institution, merchant to merchant, merchant to bank, all these different moving parts will now be able to move up freely, quickly, and effectively with XRP, and not only between currencies, but between primarily derivatives. So it's almost like this. I think XRP will be used for digital currencies, but not public digital currencies. Almost like the same way where banks may deal with each other in bonds. They may make a purchase in $1 billion in bonds. People aren't going to buy their house in bonds, but I think they may end up treating the bond market in XRP so they can treat those bonds like cash. Where the regular user, the same way that you're not going to accept your, just like bonds in the banking's eyes is the same as cash, except you get some sort of return on them. That's the thing, though. If you're going to be using it as cash, it doesn't mean it's the same thing as cash. So it's almost like we're going to have this front-end, back-end cash system of the back-end domestic and cross-border remittance cash system to move cash that way, and then the front-end cash system, which is basically going to be like me sending you $5.
So that's why they needed the private ledgers.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. The private ledgers, and to actually get a crazy thing about that. What I said before, when it comes to like the accounts where the bank has their account and they have all those underlying accounts, that's exactly what I mean when it comes to private. Those are private ledgers. Every single one of those. Every time I say that a bank has XRP and they have all those underlying XRP accounts, those are all private ledgers that they're operating off of. And the main portion of the private ledger is they're able to do internal accounting without it being on the public blockchain. Even though they're getting all the utility and all the use case from the public blockchain, they're still able to get that private accounting within their users' accounts on that private ledger. And you're going to see I don't know if all the banks are going to do this. I think you're probably going to see a huge consolidation of the banks, but all the big banks are definitely going to do this.
Okay. So you think